Hi, Rangers fans. We are here today with Austin Rueschhoff, who we signed just about a couple months ago, right when the pause began. So first off, Austin, thank you for joining us and taking the time to answer some fan questions today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So why don't you start off by just talking to us a little bit about how you've been spending your time over the last couple months during the quarantine, the pause. Just give us a little insight into what your life has looked like.
It's a little slow. Just kind of staying inside, being safe, working out, trying to find ice is a struggle. So I'm still looking at that, but playing a little golf. But other than that, it's pretty boring. Not really doing much.
And where are you right now?
I'm at home back in St. Louis.
Awesome. So with ice being hard to come by and closed in a lot of places, and obviously probably not having a gym at your disposal like you're used to, just what have you been doing to stay in shape throughout all this?
My trainer here back in St. Louis that I've worked with for a couple of years has done an online thing with an app, and I've been talks with the Rangers about their workouts too. So kind of doing a little mix of body weight and using the weights here I have home in my basement.
Cool. So our fan Sophia wants to know what excites you the most about joining the Rangers organization?
Just the history of it. You know, when you think of the Rangers, you think of how great the city is, how great the fans are. It's an exciting time for my family and for me, and I'm looking really forward to getting out to New York.
So take us through your decision-making process and ultimately kind of how you ended up with the Rangers. Who did you talk to? Who helped you through it? What was that process like for you making this choice?
Well, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to Gordon. I talked to the head coaches, the assistant coaches in Hartford and in New York, and talked to my agent, my college coaches, my family. So pretty much everybody was involved with making sure I was making the right choice. And I left early for juniors to go to college, and it was a tough decision, but it was a good decision for me. Probably one better one. And I kind of felt the same way leaving college early to turn pro, and I wanted to make that same decision.
So for those of our fans who haven't seen you play before, can you give us a little bit of a scouting report on yourself if you had to?
Well, definitely on the tall side of things, but I like to use my reach. I think I'm a lot quicker than guys my size. So I definitely am really good down low. I use my reach to take the pucks to the net, to screen my size, to screen the goalie. I'm a big physical presence on the defensive side of things. I think my stature is really good for taking faceoffs, using my long stick and my strength. And for defensive side of things, having that reach is really helpful for me. And I'd say pretty much to sum it all up is a big power forward that can move and can shoot the puck a little bit.
Okay, so let's talk about your height for a second. Obviously, our fans can't see you, but you're 6'7", is that right?
That is true, yep.
So how much can you use that to your advantage, just in a nutshell?
I try to use it all the time in everything I do. I got lucky with having the height, and not a lot of people have that. So to use that every time you can is something that you need to do at all times.
Do you think that in college your opponents found it intimidating when maybe saw you coming at them on the ice?
I would hope so. I wish I could get inside the minds of those guys, but I would hope so.
Awesome. So our fan Panarin Bread Company, we get a lot of questions from him. He wants to know, maybe aside from your height, what is your biggest asset that you bring to the table overall?
I would say, it's hard to get away from the size, but I feel like I'm really good at faceoffs. I've been getting really good at those in college, and I think a big net front presence is really good. I've been working on screening the goalie and moving with him and leaning wherever way he tries to look around me. I remember the goalies in my college team always hated when I would stand in front of them because they would always have to work harder than other guys standing in front of them. But I think my size is pretty much all my whole game. and I try to use it, like I said, all the time and take advantage of that.
So when you were growing up, did you always play hockey, or were there other sports that you played as well to
There
kind of
were
make you more well-rounded?
I played baseball and golf up until I would say high school. I still play golf all the time just for fun, but I did it competitively for a little bit. I was on my high school golf team until I went to juniors. But
Mhm.
baseball was pretty big too. Our hockey team in St. Louis had a baseball team that we would be able to travel to like Tennessee and play, and that was pretty fun.
Yes, you hockey players are always golfers too.
I know.
Um, okay, Joey wants to know, who do you model your game after?
I'm modeling after a couple of guys. My head coach when I was in St. Louis playing AAA was Keith Kachuk, and he was a big
Oh,
power
no way.
forward and has over 500 goals. And being around him and growing up and learning from him, he's definitely a player I model my game after, and how he played the game and how he lived the pro life was cool to see when you were a kid.
Okay, Mike wants to know, growing up, probably know the answer to this one, but what was your favorite hockey team?
It was St. Louis, so them winning the cup last year was pretty special for the city, and not being able to, be in the cup final for over 50 years was pretty tough. And but seeing them win was pretty special. And yeah, so I've been growing up a Blues fan my whole life.
Okay, so let's go back to the end of your season this year at Western Michigan. What was it like for you to kind of watch everything stop, and especially with your team being in the position that it was in? Just what was that like to experience for you?
It moved really quick. Like we went from Thursday practice and we were going to play St. Cloud, and for things to move how like it was, I believe it was Thursday we had practice, and it was the game was on. Fans were going to be able to come in, and then after practice, it was you got 6 tickets to give out to your family or friends, whoever was coming, and then we were at lunch, and we get a phone call from the coach saying we got to come and have a meeting, and that was when he told us that the season was over. So it all happened in a matter of about an hour. So
When your
it
coach,
kind of
yeah, when your coach called you and told you that he wanted to have a meeting, did you ever expect that the result of that was going to be the season ending?
yeah, you kind of have the feeling that everything was seeming like it was kind of going downhill. So when he said that he needed everybody to come in, it was just a weird, eerie feeling, and you feel terrible for the seniors, and we were going on a little bit of a run and kind of getting hot for a little bit, and having those guys and not be able to always have that what if with them is hurts a little bit, but you can't really control that.
Does your college season ending without kind of a real ending make the decision to leave any more emotional or difficult?
Not really. I think either way, if it ended with a national championship or not, it would have still been emotional. You stay there and live there, and you be around those guys for the past 3 years. So it was definitely a tough decision to leave those guys and leave those coaches and everything. But you also got to kind of be a little selfish and think about yourself and where your career can go. So I think it's a great decision, and I'm super excited for it.
Awesome. Okay, JB wants to know if there is one element of your game that you're most eager to work on in the near term, what would it be?
It's kind of the thing I try to work on every year, and I'm sure a lot of players do, is the speed. Going from college to pro is going to be a quicker game. So my foot speed, getting faster laterally and vertically it's definitely going to be a challenge, but I got a long summer, so I think I can do it. And I guess one more thing is just the mental side of the game. Mentally, it's going to be a quicker game too. I got to think quicker and make quicker decisions. So definitely an aspect of the game I want to work on.
Speaking of the mental side of the game, kind of not knowing when things are going to resume, how do you deal with that now when you're trying to train? How do you kind of prevent yourself from spiraling and thinking about that too much?
You try not to just think about it. I have confidence the season's going to start eventually. So whenever that is, whether it's in a month or whether it's 6 months away, you just train continuous till then. You'll know in the future of how long you got until the season starts. So you just train as hard as you can until that point.
Awesome. Okay, Katie wants to know, what is your favorite game that you've ever been to in person?
Ooh.
College or pro?
I'd say it's not a hockey game. I went to a World Series game when the Cardinals were in it when they were playing Boston. And that was really cool to experience. So a lot of baseball games might be a little slow, and people kind of talk about different things while the game's going on. It was full attention, crowd was loud, nonstop, towels waving around. It was pretty neat.
Awesome. Good answer. Okay, from Yehuda, what would you say has been the biggest hockey moment of your career to date?
I'd say the cliche one is definitely signing your first NHL contract, but I guess besides that, man, I think my college team at Western Michigan went to Vegas for a tournament, and we ended up winning that, and that was pretty cool to be able to play in T-Mobile Arena and win in that and be able to see the facilities that the Vegas Knights have, and that was pretty neat.
So when the time comes to get back on the ice, whenever that may be, just in the near term, what are your goals? What are you looking to show? What are you looking to prove about yourself? And where are you hoping to kind of take yourself?
Well, I think the biggest main goal is to obviously make the Rangers. That's everyone's goal at the start of the year, and that's definitely my goal. I think where I want to take my game is to show that I can be a physical, but I want to be able to show that I can do it all. I can play defensive, I can play offensively, and whatever the team needs me to do is what I'll do.
Awesome. Okay, and last question here. If you need to take a minute to think about it, feel free. But what is the best advice that you've been given, hockey related or otherwise?
Ooh. I think the best advice is a simple one, and it's just enjoy the game. And I've been through a couple times where in my career where hockey's seemed like a job and seemed like a chore almost, where you kind of need to take a step back and relax and know that you're playing this game and for fun in the end, whether it's at the pro level trying to make a living or just when you're a kid, you play the game to have fun.
Perfect answer to end us on there. All right, Austin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and answer our fans' questions. We hope to see you soon, but in the meantime, stay safe, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. You guys stay safe too.